This morning's guest was in education for 30-plus years, but in 1992, he got an education in politics. Who is he? You'll meet him coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Wheelwright Auditorium on the campus of Coastal Carolina University. We're focused on public service and education, and we're visiting with longtime educator and public servant, the Honorable Crain Woods. Good morning.
Good morning.
Honorable Mr. Woods, do we call you?
Crain.
Are you okay with Crain? That's great.
Yes.
For viewers who obviously who know you as the Honorable and have heard that so long, probably a lot of them who know you as Mr. Woods from having been a student, or Mr. Woods having seen you in Horry County education for years. It's great to get you in.
It's good to be here.
Absolutely. You know, to think about it, you've been here in Horry County for a couple of years.
Just a few.
What year did you all arrive?
I believe that was in '62.
Is that right? Longer than a lot of folks who were even born here have been. But you're a Palmetto State native?
Yes. Born and raised in due west South Carolina, Abbeville County, great county, you know. So, but it's just good to be here.
Absolutely. Did you ever think about leaving the Palmetto State? Did you have any opportunities to go somewhere else? I know you obviously having been schooled here as well.
Well, I did. I lived in New York for a while, but didn't like that at all. So I decided to come back to South Carolina, the great state, I think, a great place to be.
Absolutely. Do you still have family in the upstate?
Yes. Honea Path and Greenville, in that particular area, we do have family there, and we visit occasionally, not too often now, as I mature in life.
I like that, mature.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, of course, on a Thursday morning, to think about all the experiences that happen in the area in your long time, both public service as well as commitment to education, what was it? Was it something in your early childhood that prompted you to get interested in education?
Well, it goes back to my parent. My parents were just believers in education. They, of course, at an early age, they attended school, and their parent saw that they would attend college, a little institute in Seneca, South Carolina. And that's where they met, and they got married, and of course they dropped out at that time, and they went to Florida and stayed there 11 years, and then came back home and stayed there ever since.
Is that right? Do you have brothers and sisters, Crain?
I have sisters. It was three of us, and of course one is deceased now. One sister.
Sorry.
She lived in Michigan.
And your other sister, is she?
She's in Orangeburg. She was in education. We're all in education. Yeah.
I think I saw that your, of course, your mother, I believe, was a housewife, and your father had been a farmer.
Yes.
They made a commitment, obviously, to not only making sure their children got educated, but made sure there were other vehicles there to really reach into the community.
Yeah, they believed in education and taking care of the family. They had a strong commitment, and naturally that has followed down through the Woods history. We go back. There are very few that you will find divorces in the Woods family. Very few. Maybe some in the later years now that have come along, some of the younger group, but the older group, you just didn't find that.
Very dedicated to themselves and to the relationships there. I think you used the word early this morning of commitment.
Yes.
Which is a big component there. You know, as you think, what was it about Horry County and an opportunity to come down here in, I believe you said 1962, that really interested you? What was it about the county that sparked your interest?
As I reflect back on that, when I came into Horry County and realizing that I'd been in the upper part of the state, and also I just felt that this was as far as I could go without going into the water, and I said, this is it.
You wanted to be, having grown up in the upstate, you wanted to be...
I wanted to come here and just stay, and this is what I've done.
That's fascinating. Yeah. So it was really the water that helped make that decision a little easier. I think I saw you spent a few years in Clarendon County.
Yes.
In the school system there. And did you also, you formerly coached as well?
Yes, I did.
What sports was that?
Football, baseball, basketball.
Oh, come on.
I did a little bit of all of it.
Is that right?
Yes.
Did you play any of them growing up?
I played basketball.
Right.
Football was kind of, I played around with it. Didn't really play it. I played around with it.
And baseball was not one you played, but when you
baseball.
Yeah, is that right?
I was a catcher and also did a little pitching.
Is that right? Son of a gun. And coaching's probably a lot different than playing, though.
It is. It really is. I loved it, and I felt good doing it. But it was time for me to move on to do some other things. So we had to move on and do what we have to do. I really just wanted to stay, be involved in teaching, and I felt good doing that, and that was a part of my life.
And did you teach a little bit of everything, or were there courses that you really focused on?
Well, I focused more on science and math, and that was just the area that I really enjoyed. I think being brought up on the farm, I saw so many things in the science area, and that was a part of my life. So I said, this is what I want to do.
Of course, you've heard from former students of yours that have gone on and probably keep great touch with them. What are some of the things that you could feel that they were really bonding with you in the classroom? What were some of the things that you did? Did you have little tricks in the classroom to keep students really focused, particularly right now as parents are getting family off to school or get ready to head out of the house? You know, when they think about their own, their children's educators, their children's teachers and the commitment they make in the classroom, or there's little things you did?
I think identifying with them, we used to have a lot of little things that we would share with them, like you could kind of put your arms around them and make them feel kind of at home.
And you're talking about physical, literally. You mean in the classroom?
Yeah, you could do
support
that.
Them.
And support them. And then they would give back to you.
Right.
And that was one of the greatest things, to see them. A lot of the kids would say, "Oh, I want to go home and live with you. I just want to be a part of you, be your child." Well, oh yes,
is that right?
Oh yes, we had that, and we really felt good about that. And we just put our all in all into it.
Right.
And
is your wife an educator as well?
Absolutely.
She was. When you're saying we, oftentimes folks will say we speaking about themselves. But in that instance, you mean you and your wife both, who were educators, felt that way about your students. That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes. In fact, she still like to stay in touch with education. She teaches adult education now.
Is that right? Great. Good.
After retiring. So.
And of course, when y'all taught, of course, in Horry County schools, was there a district? Was it just the school system itself, the Horry County schools, or were you in one of the cities, in the city of Myrtle Beach, or in
Myrtle Beach? Okay. City of Myrtle Beach.
Right. Both of y'all.
That's where we spent our time. Right in the city of Myrtle Beach.
As you think about folks today that are, out and about in the community doing a lot of things, are there names that stick out in your head from the classroom? Any of your former students that are names we hear about on a regular basis these days?
Well, I think if we go back to council members that we have now.
How about a couple of them?
The majority of them, you think about Wayne Gray and Randa Wallace and
that's
Dr. Render.
Bill Render as well was a former student of yours or of Julia's?
Played baseball for me because I was coaching here.
Yeah.
So we all had just a great time together.
That is fascinating. So Randall Wallace,
Yeah,
Wayne Gray, and Phil Renda were all former
Chestnut,
Michael Chestnut. Yeah,
Chestnut,
yeah.
all of it. We all would just, just bond together, and that's how we could get the job done.
That is fantastic. And that is it's so exciting for folks who are in the classroom and particularly teaching particularly important skills like math and science to see that bonding with students. Did you all ever take any of the kids in?
No, we really didn't. We just didn't have time to do that. Because we had one of our own.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's right.
We just didn't have time. It wasn't enough time in the day.
Is there even now?
Yeah.
There's still not enough time.
No,
sure,
we keep moving.
In the day. And you said you had one of your own. He or she?
She.
She, and she is where?
She's in Michigan, Farmington Hill, Michigan, and she's in education as well in the school system.
Is that right?
So,
this was a Woods motto.
Yeah.
You're getting an education or you're out of here. Yeah.
That's it. Our parent would say that no one can ever take that from you. That's something that's yours.
Right.
So, and the only thing you can do is share that with someone else.
Yeah.
And we just enjoy sharing.
That is wild. And of course, either directly or through the blood there, being a science teacher, obviously osmosis was something you knew well.
Absolutely.
Whatever the diffusion of water through a semi-permeable, something like that. But that idea of a child actually picking it up from mother and father who are teachers must have been exciting. Did you get that impression early on that she was going to get into teaching, your daughter?
At one point. Because she said at one point, she said, I don't want to be in education. I'd like to be into the corporate world. And I said, okay. But later on, she said, that's not for me. I want to be in education. And that's what she's involved in now, in counseling.
In counseling as well?
Yes.
Is that right?
So we're just happy about that.
Oh, yeah.
Very pleased.
Been thrilled. What was it about potentially serving on council that prompted you to... had you run for office prior to running successfully there in the early 90s?
No, that was my first time that we wanted to get involved in it. In fact, I hadn't planned to get involved in it.
Oh, come on. Yeah, tell us this story.
I really was... I was in... after retirement, I just went to see our daughter. She was living in Augusta at the time, she and her husband. And we came back, and we had a telephone call and said... and this was from some people in the community.
Right.
And they said, we met and we decided we wanted you to run for office.
Oh, come on.
And I told my wife, I said, no way.
Yeah.
And they said, so when I saw them, they said, oh, yeah, you're going to run for office.
No.
And that's how it all began, and we just
Well, what did they ultimately say, Crain, that got you over the...
it was just that they were so persistent in that I was going to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, okay, then we'll go ahead and give it a try. And at that time, we were successful. So, and we spent 2 terms on council, and which was great.
Yes, 8 years there, 94 to 2002, I believe. Yeah.
And that's great. I'd like for everyone to be a part of that at some point in their life.
Absolutely.
It's a great education. If someone would like to have a real education.
Yeah, what about it in particular really stands out on the education side? What really served as the education for you?
I think knowing the people, getting to know the people, knowing their wants, their needs, and how do you balance that? So many people will call you for this, that, and the other, and everyone has an opinion, and they're always different. So how do you balance that? So you'll spend many restless nights
Really? Yeah.
Wrestling with how you will do this. How can you help someone? You know, and you're always willing to help and be a part of their life, and as long as it's a positive thing, you always want it to be positive. You don't want anything negative, because you are going to receive enough negative things. So, but give them something positive to go on.
That's wonderful. Well, obviously that experience of knowing that you're just one of 7, 8, 9, or 12, depending on what the council is, votes, and that you surely have to work as a team to be able to get to that majority vote. It can be slight, 6-5, or the Myrtle Beach City Council is what, 7 or 8 members, 9 members?
Yeah, what, 5? I believe it is.
Right. It may have even changed over Forgive me not to put you on the spot. And as we think about those, and of course recently with the changes that I think that's right, with the changes there, and incumbents were brought back in again here, Michael and of course Susan Grissom Means there, and Dr. Phil Render did very well. Of course, seeing the other folks stepping out, both Judy Rodman, who you served with, and Easterling there, and of course Mike Louder, the ability, as you say, just to step out there. That's probably an education in and of itself, running for office.
It really is. You don't know what it's like meeting the public until you really get out there and become a part of it. And I think that's where you will really get an education that you've never seen before. You can't pick that up in a classroom.
Right.
There's no way. But it's wonderful to do that.
During your 2 terms on council, Crain, does anything stick out that you're most proud of? Anything that you worked diligently on? Anything you were a part of? Of course, there's so many things.
Yes.
I probably caught you off guard by trying to highlight that, but is there anything that really sticks out in your mind?
I think the stormwater drainage, the drainage over the city, and the underground lines that's going in now.
Right, sure. Up and down Ocean Boulevard,
yes, and then I think the building of recreation, parks, and then trying to restore some of the things of that nature. I think it's just great to do that, and we were a part of that, and we moved along with it, and people accepted that quite well.
I saw that you were very active with the All Aboard Committee, helping the Myrtle Beach Train Depot become a reality, working with Jack Thompson and a lot of other volunteers, but obviously city support ultimately has to happen to make that happen.
Yeah, well, it really did. And that was really tough, but we were able to get it done, and now just look at the use that it's serving now. And then we got it on the National Register.
Is that right? Yes, I heard that. We filmed there not long ago, and Richard Kirby was saying it's got to be one of the most popular buildings now for receptions and wedding events and otherwise. Folks rent it out. It's kept him very busy, just coming in there to open it up and close it down at night.
Yes. So we just enjoy doing that, and we enjoy being a part of the city and working with people, and I guess it's just in our blood, as you said earlier.
Right, in your blood. You know, that idea of at some point prior to retirement, am I correct that you went from teaching into becoming an administrator?
Yes.
What was that transition like, having been in the classroom, obviously having introduced a lot of folks for the first time to different aspects of science or even mathematics, and then getting out of the classroom and getting into administration? What was that transition like?
Somewhat tough, especially dealing with some of your peers there. Because we moved into another school at that particular time when we went into the office, and quite a few people thought that I knew that I was going into administration.
Really?
At the time. People knew that I didn't know that I was going, and so it's a good story about that. I was in Charleston in a meeting when I really heard that I was going to go, and one of the persons said, well, you know, you haven't been notified. I said, no, I haven't been notified. And they said, oh, yeah, tomorrow morning you're going to be at the middle school. I said, well, no one has told me. But anyway, when I came back and I went on to work as usual, and then the principal there at the elementary school said, someone talked to you? I said, no, no one talked to me. And they really hadn't.
You were kidding.
No one really had talked with me. So
well, that was a
I was out
then.
with the children around noontime playing out on the yard when someone came from the district office and said that you were going up to the middle school. You're being transferred. And I said, oh? I said, well, let me get my coat and whatnot. I said, well, you don't have time because we got to move along. So they put me in the car and carried me up there in my shirt sleeve and introduced me to the faculty.
That is a crazy story.
And so
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah,
someone from the school district said you didn't have time to get your jacket.
I didn't have time to get my jacket.
Lord.
So it was fun, though. We went up, and I knew the teachers, and they knew me. And,
sure.
And of course, you know, being a part of them, it was just tough.
That is amazing.
But we did go, and we were just happy that we made the transition. And
oh, yeah.
Things worked very well. Of course, you know, like anything else, you talk about administrators and you talk about the teachers. So, you know, that was one thing that we had to overcome. Absolutely. But it worked well.
That's fantastic. Crain, we just got a couple of minutes, and I'm sure a lot of viewers are either sitting here watching right now or they're walking by their TV, they're seeing you on TV, and they say, oh, there's Wilson Kane. Does that ever happen? Does anyone ever get you confused with Wilson? Obviously, since y'all's names are kind of close to each other, he's Wilson Kane, you're Crain Woods, CWWC. Anyone ever get you all confused?
Absolutely, and we always laughed about it. We would answer for each other.
No.
Oh, yes, we would just laugh and go. We never correct it. We just leave it alone. And it was fun to us to hear this. And so it was fun, and we did that for we would look at each other a lot of times.
Right,
when we were together and someone said
someone would address you as Wilson, right?
Yeah.
And you'd look over and...
Yeah, so I'd say, okay, whatever we needed to answer, we would answer and go on.
That is hilarious, Crain.
We had fun.
You know, I think I don't think you said it directly, but I believe you and your bride have been married now. Is it almost 50 years?
Very close, 47 years, 48 years, December the 19th.
Wow. What is it that enables you all to, I know you talked a little bit about it earlier, but what do you think has been the secret success?
Well, you got to keep a little spice in your life, you know. Commitment is number one, I think, that you have to do. But you also have to be able to say, let's go out tonight, let's go do this, let's go do that. Have a surprise for your bride. And it doesn't take a lot. You know, it's not the big things sometimes that your mate really want. Small thing, you know, like take her a candy bar sometime, maybe a rose sometime, you know, especially when she's not expecting anything. And that surprise is a wonderful thing to see how she will light up. You know, it's just, oh, you thought about me. So it's wonderful to do that. I'll give her a compliment. And that's how we've made it along.
And obviously the other way around as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Julie has done that.
She has.
I'm sure. That's wonderful.
And it's so wonderful to have that kind of relationship.
Oh, yeah. Do you miss anything not being in the classroom, Crain?
I do. I honestly do. I just miss the sound of the children there. I miss the teachers, the faculty, the staff. But in missing them, sometimes it's a good miss because sometimes you're so criticized you don't want to hear that part. So, but yes, I really miss it. And but it's just wonderful anyway to be able to move to another phase of life. And that's what retirement is. I think it's another phase of life. As my granddaughter liked to say, it's just another reward that you've got.
I love it. I love it. Those are great words. Crain, thanks so much for being with us this morning. I'm sorry we've run out of time.
So soon?
Absolutely. I'll show you the time in just a second. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the Honorable Crain Woods coming up next. Whether it was those early years as the youngest son of a farmer and a housewife, later as a teacher and a coach, as an administrator, then as a public servant, you think about all those things that have to happen over all those years. Of course, the rewards of retirement have come. You heard him wanting to be back in the classroom, but the big thrill there, 47, soon to be 48 years of marriage to his beautiful bride, Julia. Celebration, his great smile here. You see it every day. Whether you bump into him at the post office or around town, he's got that smile. The Honorable Crain Woods.